Welcome to the weather forecast on VTB Tien channel. Dear friends, in today's video, we have a lot to talk about in the weather forecast, including locally strong winds, light hail, and a fairly strong risk of tornadoes by northeast standards. And this is the coldest air mass of the season that could lead to scattered frosts, especially in northern areas. We'll look at the risk of severe weather, especially with the increased risk of tornadoes, strong winds, and large hail. And finally, we'll have a full tropical weather update. Let's look at a cold front that's currently on the east coast and extending down to the Gulf Coast today. Behind it, we have 3 areas of high pressure, which means lots of sunshine, and sinking air, which means drier weather and lots of cool, crisp fall temperatures. You can see we have a big cold front with a cold front behind us that's pushing into a warmer, more unstable front. That's what caused the storms yesterday in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, all the way down to Dallas, Texas. And that's what's causing some of the storms right now in Kentucky, all the way down to Alabama. But let's see what happens as that front moves east and we get some daytime heat. That cool front is going to push into some of the unstable air and we're going to start seeing some superstorms form here. And let's look at the temperatures that are expected this afternoon, and it's looking pretty cool here across the upper Midwest, or some cool record highs in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, where we could have a hard time getting into the 60s this afternoon. Temperatures around Chicago are likely to be about 20 degrees below average, even across the southern plains. I know it's been a hot summer in Dallas so far, and not just the upper 30s but the low to mid 30s. That means we have to worry about a strong freeze, if not frost, across parts of here in the upper Midwest starting on your Sunday. Some thunderstorms are possible in the Rocky Mountains and along the Gulf Coast, but they're not expected to be severe. This is certainly going to be an interesting, potentially dangerous, severe weather event from northern Massachusetts up into southern Vermont, much of New Hampshire, and then into southern and southwestern Maine, including the Concord area, Portland, up toward Augusta. And the way it works is there's a 5% chance of tornadoes within 25 miles, and that extends all the way down to New York City. We're going to have some large hail in Vermont and New Hampshire. There's even a chance of some severe thunderstorms in northern New Jersey, southern New York, eastern Pennsylvania. And we're going to be keeping a close eye on those storms for tornado and tornado potential. Note that the heaviest rains will be today across parts of the I-95 corridor, where the more severe thunderstorms could produce potential rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches. Very dry in the Midwest, aka the Corn Belt, and then in the plains, with the exception of South Texas, where we'll see some showers and storms that aren't too severe, but we'll see heavier rains on the Rio Grande as we head into the weekend. We've also got some storms lingering here, a little further south. Wouldn't be surprised to see some severe warnings around Atlanta, maybe Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Washington, D.C. The last couple of runs have actually shown some pretty clear-looking storms around the Baltimore, D.C. area. And the tornado threat is definitely going to be more significant in the Northeast than the Mid-Atlantic or the Southeast. The severe weather threat is going to be reduced. We'll probably still have storms in Boston and New York City, but this is going to be more of a rainstorm for you guys than anything else. And then, of course, those storms will continue to move down into the Carolinas until everything is almost completely out to sea. But notice, right around New York City in particular, the storms seem to be concentrating for a short period of time. And that's where we'll be looking for potential tornadoes, of course, as well as storms moving east. As we go east, those updrafts are getting weaker because we're getting more of a linear storm regime than a hurricane. And of course, the Weather Service is also calling for a slight chance of heavy rain in Philadelphia and New York City. Because of the heavy rain that we're expecting, it's very possible that in just a short period of time today, some areas will see more than 3, maybe even 4 inches of rain. and that will lead to flash flooding. But look, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, some warm air will try to push back in. So it's going to get a little bit more complicated here as we head into the future. We're going to have a little bit of a temperature swing through the rest of September. So be prepared for some warmth throughout the next week, yes, from Monday September 8th through Friday September 12th. Temperatures will cool off a little bit in the middle of the country due to a ridge of high pressure. Not a strong ridge of high pressure, but enough to warm temperatures across the plains into the Midwest throughout the next week. And a stronger trough moving into California and the Sacramento Valley is going to promise some cooler temperatures as we head into next week. So there's going to be a little bit of a change in California and Nevada. And there's also a change in the Midwest. And that could also lead to a change in our rainfall patterns, as we could start to see some thunderstorm activity return in the Rocky Mountains and the North Central Plains. And then eventually move east into the Midwest like Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin and northern Illinois next week. Some of that rainfall could be significant, especially in South Dakota. Nebraska as it moves into western Iowa. We'll be watching our friends in Lincoln, North Platte and Omaha, but especially next week for any flash flood potential. Finally, we're looking at the tropics, which are really active in the Pacific Basin. We have Hurricane Kiko, which is still a major hurricane just east of Hawaii and also has a very low chance of that happening in the next 7 days. We'll have to keep an eye on it. This is Kiko, which is a 130 miles per hour hurricane, still a major hurricane, and it's moving west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. So it's getting closer to the Hawaiian Islands. It'll remain a hurricane until Tuesday morning as it moves closer to the Big Island of Hawaii and then north of the Hawaiian Islands. Eventually, with the center of the depression becoming a tropical storm, you can still see impacts outside the cone, and that could include the risk of a rip current for the Hawaiian Islands. So as we look at it later this week, we'll see the major hurricane safely east of Hawaii. So any weekend plans are going to be fine. And as we get into the early part of this week, especially on Tuesday September 9th, we're going to see it weaken to a Category 1 hurricane and eventually a tropical storm. But it's still a system to watch because it's going to be very close to the Hawaiian Islands. We could see some decent surf later this week. But early in the week we're going to start seeing some swell, especially north and east of the Hawaiian Islands and especially the Big Island there, because we could have some coastal erosion. Maybe even a pretty significant rip current risk there. But behind that, there's a 20% chance of development. Another wave is coming into the eastern Pacific. It's going to be moving west. If you like this video, please share it with your friends, family, and on social media. Comment in the comments below the video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on VTB Tien channel.